me clearly. Thank you. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this new section and session on the Certified Internal Auditor Examination Preparation webinar. And this is proudly brought to you by Go Risk and Oversight Professional Services Limited. My name is Progressive Alaba Awolaja, and I am honored to be your guide through this journey of professional growth and transformation. And as a certified internal auditor and a chartered certified fraud investigator in Nigeria, I've walked this path that you are about to embark on, and I'm here to help you, at least help you navigate through this path with clarity, confidence, and um, purpose. So, this program is built around um, this powerful philosophy that you are seeing: unlearn, learn, and relearn. And in today's dynamic audit landscape, um, success is not just about mastering technical knowledge, it's about cultivating adaptability, it's about ethical judgment, it's about um, a mindset of continuous learning and continuous improvement. So, um, for today, we will just continue to discuss what will make you better. And over the course of these sessions, section B, section C, section D, um, we should be able to unpack the core principles of internal auditing. And I believe you can still sharpen your CIA exam readiness and explore how ethical professionalism forms the backbone of effective audit practice. So let's dive in. Let's dive in and make this experience not just informative, but like I said earlier, transformative. Now, don't forget these our housekeeping rules before we dive into today's content. Let's go over them again. Don't forget. So I think we have done this last week, and I believe everyone should be able to follow these few rules. Okay, let's begin by looking at the structure of the CIA Part 1 exam again. And this one focuses on internal audit fundamentals. The syllabus is divided into four key sections: section 1, 2, 3, and 4, or section A, B, C, and D. The first section is Foundations of Internal Auditing, which makes up 35% of the exam. We have concluded that last week. We provided enough resources that can get you going. I hope you checked your online folders. You have more than enough resources to get this done and dusted with enough time. Everything that you have now is enough for you if you prepare very well. Section 2 is Ethics and Professionalism, which is 20%. Section 3 is Governance, Risk Management and Control, which makes about 30%. And section 4 is our fraud risk, which is 15%. Today, we will be diving into section 2, Ethics and Professionalism. And this is a critical area, not just for passing the exam, but for shaping how you and I operate as trusted internal auditors. Now, if we are not able to cover everything today, don't worry. We will continue with the remaining content next week. The goal is not just to rush through the whole syllabus, but to truly understand the principles and apply them with confidence in real world scenarios. And I'm confident that today's session will add value to your internal audit practice. let's dive in further. So let's get started with ethics and professionalism. Okay, this is just a general overview about integrity. As we begin our deep dive into ethics and professionalism, which is the first pillar, we will explore, and it is integrity. This is not just a buzzword. Integrity is not just okay. I know integrity, but as far as I'm concerned, you have to learn integrity according to the TIS. So, integrity is the foundation of trust in the internal audit profession. Okay, somebody says, let me see the response. Okay, somebody says, okay, I can't see the screen. Will exit and rejoin. Please re-exit, exit and rejoin. I will allow you. Okay, I am allowing the person. Then, okay, let us move on. So, like I said, we want to explore integrity in internal auditing, and I said that integrity is the foundation of it is the foundation of trust in the internal audit profession. I hope Oluwatomisin Ogudare can hear us better or see the screen now before I move on. I have let me see. I have enabled your microphone so you can unmute and respond, or you use the chat to respond to me. Thank you. So, to demonstrate integrity as internal auditors, we must embody honesty and courage. That is the first thing we must learn. And that means telling the truth even when it is uncomfortable. And also, it means standing firm in our convictions, even when pressure mounts from our stakeholders, from, let's say, our clients, from management or peers. You have to stand firm. That is integrity. Also, another area that you also need to understand is that integrity demands legal and professional behavior. Integrity demands legal and professional behavior. That's a key word that we must all understand. And as internal auditors, we operate within a framework of laws, regulations, frameworks, and even professional standards. Our conduct must reflect not only compliance with legal requirements, but a commitment to doing what is right, even when no one is watching as internal auditors. So we must found or establish our um, our understanding of integrity on this basic principle. So I'm looking at people that are joining, trying to allow them in, or also looking at chats at the same time. I just want to ensure that nobody is missing anything here. Now, throughout this section, we will look at how integrity shows up in real audit scenarios and how it is assessed in the CIA exam. I want us to keep something in mind. Integrity is not just a concept, it is a daily decision about our commitment to be courageous, to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. Now, let's zoom in on the framework that guides our learning in this section. And the framework is the Global Internal Audit Standards, or the GIS. This section of the CIA Part 1 syllabus is anchored in Domain 2 of the GIS. And Domain 2 is ethics and professionalism. This domain outlines 5 essential principles every internal auditor must embody. And you can see that on your screen. 1, demonstrate integrity. 2, maintain objectivity. 3, demonstrate competency. 4, exercise due professional care. 5, maintain confidentiality. All of these will be discussed in this section. These are not just theoretical ideas. They are all actionable standards that shape how we think, how we behave, and how we make decisions in our professional roles as internal auditors. Also, it is important to know that all content in this section is assessed at proficiency level. I mean proficient cognitive level. And the meaning of this proficient cognitive level is that we are not just going to be memorizing definitions. We are expected to apply the concept. We're expected to analyze scenarios. We're expected to assess, evaluate ethical dilemmas, and even make some judgments based on professional criteria. So you must open your mind to learn as much as you can to be able to be proficient in this domain too. And in other words, the CIA exam will test your ability to think like an auditor. You will need to assemble facts, gather facts, interpret behaviors, and even formulate recommendations that reflect ethical excellence in the exam. So, as we go through each principle in this domain, I will encourage you to think critically, ask questions, reflect, and even connect the standards to real world audit challenges. So, the purpose is to build not just exam readiness, but your own professional resilience as a professional internal auditor. Now, let's now take a closer look at domain 2, ethics and professionalism, the art of ethical conduct in internal auditors' career. This domain outlines the principles and standards that guide the behavior of both individuals and entire internal audit departments. It's not just about personal integrity, it is more about building a culture of ethics across the internal audit organization. Now, importantly, one of the things that you need to understand about this domain 2 is that this domain 2, please, some of you that you are still having IA code of ethics in your internal audit charter, please watch out. Domain 2 replaces the IIA's former code of ethics. Please note, take this one home. So if I'm going to be a consultant assessing you using the new GIS, what I'm going to be looking for, if I found IIA code of ethics in your methodologies or even in your charter, I know you have not implemented the GIS. You have not adjusted. So this domain 2 has replaced the IIS code of ethics, the former code of ethics, which was a standalone component in the 2017 IPPF. Please note. And this shift reflects a more integrated and actionable approach to ethics within the global internal audit standards. So, why does this matter? CIA candidates, why does this matter? It matters because conformance with these principles of ethics and professionalism instills trust in our profession. This area creates an ethical foundation within the audit function, within the internal audit department, and it ensures that our stakeholders can rely on our work and on our judgment. Every internal auditor, regardless of role or level, is expected to conform with these ethical standards. And the new requirements in the standards make that expectations crystal clear, critically clear, or crystal clear. The new requirements includes the first one, honesty and professional courage, which is about standing firm in truth and ethical conviction. Two, understanding the organization's ethical expectations. It is about aligning our conduct with the values of the entity we serve as internal auditors. Three, competency and continued professional development, which is about staying sharp and current as professionals. Four, conformance with the GIS and professional skepticism, which is about applying the global internal audit standards rigorously and questioning assumptions. Five, which is about protection of information. Now, it is what we know, safeguarding confidentiality and data integrity, because we have access to a lot of things, a lot of information and data within the organization. So these are new requirements. So if you are talking about the former IPPF, you won't find all of this there. So go and look into your internal audit charter and methodologies to adjust appropriately. So why each internal auditor is responsible for their own conformance with the ethics and professionalism requirements of the GIS. The CAE plays a pivotal role in conformance regarding the way the department conforms. Just a minute. Somebody is coming in. I think that participant is having a challenge with the class. The participant has been coming in and going out. I hope the participant can just put a call to me. Just a minute. Let me assist the participant. Let me know what is happening. That participant. That's the reason why I'm looking at the participant tab. Also looking at my presentation screen together. So I know the participant came early. So just a minute. Can you hear us now? Can you see the class? Okay, let's move on. If you can hear me, if you
Oh,
have any challenge,
I can hear you, but I can't see your screen, so I can't see what you are sharing. That's why I've been trying to go out and come back in. Maybe it will come up, but it's not.
okay, because of it, just say in. I will exit this. I will exit this sharing. I will stop this sharing there, and I will start it again. Is that just hold on? Just for one person, that is not good enough. You
Thank
can.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
I will stop sharing while you are with us. Stop presenting. Okay. Let's wait for it. Then I will start it again. Okay. Let us wait. Let's wait. I'm resuming to where we stopped. Okay, let's wait a few minutes for the participant to confirm if you can see it now. How is it now?
I think let's just continue so we don't delay others. I still can't view it. Maybe it's from my end.
Are you using a phone or a PC?
A PC, no, not
A
phone.
PC. That is
Yeah.
unusual. What about
I know.
what about the browser that you are using? Browser,
Is it
or you are
is
using
it is the
Teams?
same one I used the last time? No, browser. Even on Teams also it didn't come up. That was why I left Teams and joined on browser. But let's just go
Browser.
ahead so we
Oh,
don't delay others. Thank you.
oh, okay. No problem. So I'm sorry for the for the technical issue. That's one of the problems that we have in online classes. So, as I was saying, I said you are responsible for your own conformance with the ethics and professionalism requirements. However, the chief audit executive plays a pivotal or critical role in conformance. CAs must actively support and promote ethical standards through one, training, guidance, and leadership. Even if they delegate some responsibilities, CAs are accountable for the ethical posture, for ethical conformance of the entire internal audit department. So even if you are an internal auditing manager under a CAE, your CAE is still um, your CAE is still accountable for conformance as for the department as a whole, where your own conformance will relate to when you are performing internal audit services. So this domain on ethics and professionalism is not just about passing the exam, it's about shaping the kind of auditor you choose to be. I mean, an auditor whose work is trusted, an auditor whose work is respected, an auditor that is impactful. Let's move on. Now, let's break down the structure of domain two, ethics and professionalism, for better understanding. This domain is built around five core principles, which you can see on your screen. And it is supported by 13 specific requirements, which are the standards. Altogether, they form the ethical backbone of internal auditing under the new global internal audit standards. Let's walk through each principle briefly because we are still going to talk about them in details later. Now, let's start with principle one, demonstrate integrity. Internal auditors must act with honesty, professional courage, and align with both legal and ethical expectations. We have three requirements here: honesty and professional courage, that is standard. Those requirements are the standards. Organization's ethical expectations, legal and ethical behavior. Then we have principle two, which says that we must remain impartial and unbiased in our work and in our decisions. We have three standards here. They include individual objectivity, safeguarding objectivity, and disclosing impairments to objectivity. Then, principle three, and it says that we must plan and perform our internal audit services or works with diligence and professional skepticism. And we have two standards or requirements here. They include, okay, three. We have three, I mean, yes, three. We have conformance with the global internal audit standards. We have due professional care. We have professional skepticism. Now, the final one is principle five, which is maintain confidentiality. It says that internal auditors must use and protect and respect information appropriately because you will come across information, data during your work. You must use and protect and also respect them appropriately. We have just two requirements here. We have use of information. We also have protection of information. Now, understanding these principles and standards is not just about memorization. You cannot just memorize them. It's 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 more about mastering them at a proficient cognitive level as required by the syllabus. And that means we need to apply, analyze, evaluate, and even make informed judgments based on the scenarios that we are given. The CIA exam will expect you to interpret real world scenarios. It will expect you to respond with ethical clarity and professional insight and judgment based on these standards that you are learning now. So, as we move forward, keep asking yourself, how would I apply this in practice? And that kind of mindset will help you succeed, not just in the exam, but in your own career as a trusted internal auditor. And I hope I'm making sense now. Does this make sense to you, CIA candidates? Does this make sense to you? Does this make sense to you? I need you. I don't want to be speaking alone. All your microphones I know good. So I won't waste our time, but I need you to engage me so that that will reduce my headache while speaking to myself. Am I making sense now? Even if it is just a reaction, send me a reaction just to let me know that we are together in this. Yes, yeah, that's better. That's better. That's better. Now, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So you need to motivate me, encourage me to be inspired to speak more. Now, let's focus on one of the most important principles in domain 2, and it is integrity. Integrity. According to the GIS, I mean the glossary, which you can see on the screen now, integrity is defined as behavior characterized by adherence to moral and ethical principles. It is about behavior. Behavior characterized by adherence to moral and ethical principles, including demonstrating honesty and professional courage to act based on relevant facts. To act based on relevant facts. That is now. But these principles, this principle on integrity goes deeper than this definition. Integrity is the unwavering commitment to do what is right. It is an unwavering commitment to do the right thing, even when it is difficult, even when it is unpopular, even when it is costly personally to you. You just want to do the right thing. It means being honest. It means standing firm in truth. It means upholding legal and professional standards, even when there is pressure to compromise your ethical standing in practice. So, in practice, integrity requires us to act truthfully and transparently. Truthfully and transparently. Integrity requires us to make ethical choices even under stress. Integrity requires us to resist undue influence from stakeholders. It requires us to maintain impartiality in our assessment. That is the relationship between that area. Maintaining impartiality in our assessment is the only relationship, is the relationship between objectivity and integrity. Because sometimes we may be confused. In practice, integrity requires us to prioritize ethical conduct over convenience or gain. And here's the key insight that you must take out from this discussion. Integrity is the foundation for everything else. Everything about trusting the work of internal auditors is based on our integrity. And without it, objectivity becomes questionable. I told you about relationship between integrity and objectivity. Now, earlier I said integrity requires us to maintain impartiality in our assessment. So without integrity, your objectivity becomes questionable. Your competence loses credibility. Your due professional care is undermined, and confidentiality can be trusted. And that is the reason why integrity is the foundation of everything else. As internal auditors, our integrity is what earns us trust. That is, trust from our stakeholders, such as management, boards, and the public. Integrity is what gives weight to our findings and legitimacy to our recommendations. If they can't see you up as an internal auditor of integrity, your recommendations will not be legitimate. So, as you prepare for this CIA exam, and more importantly, as you grow in your internal audit career, remember that integrity is not just a principle, it's a daily practice. Integrity is the quiet strength behind every ethical decision you make as internal auditor. I hope this makes sense to us. So, if you are asking the question why people fail the CIA exam, this is the context that they may miss that could be contributing to their failures. Let's move on. Okay, we want to explore the first principle in domain 2, which is demonstrate integrity. The GIS define integrity as behavior rooted in moral and ethical principles. Specifically, honesty and professional courage to act based on relevant facts which you have drawn, let's say during the engagement. And this is not just about being nice or polite, it's about being truthful. It's about being truthful. It's about being accurate. It's about being clear, even when the truth is uncomfortable or unpopular. So, internal auditors must be open and respectful in all professional relationships, including when expressing skepticism or offering a dissenting view about a matter. We are not here to please anyone. We are here to serve the truth as professionals. We must never make false, misleading, or deceptive statements. And we must never conceal or omit findings that could impact decision making. If we know, if we know something that is material to the organization's ability to make informed decisions, we are obligated to disclose them. Now, another aspect, which is about professional courage. Professional courage is key here. It means speaking up even when the stakes are high. Professional courage. Speak up even when the stakes are high. It means taking appropriate action in the face of dilemmas, taking the appropriate actions in the face of pressures, taking the appropriate action in the face of resistance. And it means standing firm in our ethical convictions, even when doing so may lead to personal or organizational discomfort. Stand firm. Some of you will be asking, can we do all of this? It's left for you. I'm trying my best as an internal auditor. I am doing this as a consultant. And it's not a good business for us as a consultant when you try to hold this principle of integrity, when there's a lot of resistance by your clients about what you said it should be, what you found. But we are trying our best to show them that we are internal auditors, and that is it. So, another important aspect that we must mention here is that the CAE plays a vital or critical role again in cultivating this culture of integrity. CAE must create an environment where auditors feel safe. They must create an environment where auditors feel safe and where they feel supported when presenting evidence-based results. Whether those results are favorable or not, they feel they will be supported. So, to prepare for this CIA Part 1 exam, I want to encourage you to go beyond the surface. Please note, go and review the Constitution for Implementation and examples of evidence of conformance in the GIS to learn this better. But I'm confident that the discussion in this class will be enough for you to pass the exam on section 2. I am confident enough about that. So, integrity is not optional. It's the foundation of our credibility. It is the foundation of our influence. And it is the foundation of our impact as professional internal auditors. Let's move on. Okay. We are still unpacking principle 1, demonstrate integrity. And that is because integrity is not just about personal behavior. It's also about how we engage with the ethical expectations of the companies we serve. The first thing you must realize is that as internal auditors, you must understand, respect, and contribute to those ethical and legal expectations of the companies you serve. And that means we need to be tuned in. I emphasize, we need to be tuned in, not just to the formal code of conduct or business code of conduct, but to the values and culture that shape decision making within the companies that we serve. We must also be able to recognize when a conduct deviates from those expectations. And when we do, we have a responsibility to report those conducts through the proper channels in line with applicable policies and procedures of your company. I'm not saying you go and report to the police officer or the regulator. You will see some questions in the exam giving you that option. No, I said in line. I said proper channels, keyword, proper channels, and in line with applicable policies and procedures of your organization. So you must understand that silence is not an option when ethical standards are at risk. So beyond compliance now, we are called by our profession to be champions of ethics. And that means encouraging and promoting an ethics-based culture. I want to reemphasize that. I mean, encouraging and promoting ethics-based culture through our conversations, our reporting, and our example. Now, from an implementation standpoint, this principle also reminds us to consider ethics related risk. I mean, ethics-related risks, risks and control during our engagement. What I'm saying is that during each and every internal audit engagement, we're expected to consider ethics-related risk and controls during those individual engagements. Now, the question is, are, are there gaps in ethical oversight in that area? Are there behaviors that signal deeper cultural issues? These are questions we must ask as part of our audit mindset during individual audit engagements. Again, I want to encourage you to deepen your understanding by reviewing the consideration for implementation. But I'm still confident that the emphasis I'm going to be making in this section and the insight I'm going to be sharing in this section is enough for you to pass this exam based on these class details. So if you read your GIS consideration for implementation and examples of evidence of conformance, um, you will be able to connect theory to practice. Like we said, we always say you have to be intentional in your implementation. So be intentional in your learning of this principle too. So be prepared to respond uh, integrity scenarios, integrity questions in the exam. Integrity is not just the first principle. Yeah, it's the one that gives meaning to all other ethics and professionalism uh, principles and requirements in the GIAS. Am I making sense now? Am I making sense now? I need your response. I want to be sure that I'm not the only one speaking to myself. Thank you very much for thank you for that. So thank you. I'm seeing your thumb up. Yeah, thank you very much. As we wrap up this principle one on demonstrating integrity, we need to also talk about what integrity looks like when integrity is tested. Now, internal auditors must never engage in or be associated with any activity that is illegal. Listen again. You must never engage in or be associated with any activity that is illegal, any activity that is discreditable or harmful to the organization or its people. And that includes actions that could damage the reputation of the internal audit profession itself. We are expected to understand and comply with all relevant laws and regulations across industries and jurisdictions. You must comply. And when we identify violations to those legal and regulatory requirements, we must report them to the appropriate authorities as defined by law and internal policy. Don't forget, silence or avoidance is not an option for you. Watch out for all of these things in the exam. The GIS provide examples of discreditable behavior that we must actively avoid. For example, bullying, harassment, or discrimination, misrepresenting your qualifications or credentials. That's why I always tell people that I am not a chartered accountant, I'm not a certified accountant. I'm a certified internal auditor by profession. And I do not claim to know accounting or um, management accounting or financial reporting as it relates to accounting. But I can claim to be an expert in implementing and assessing internal control over external financial reporting according to the COSO. That is not accounting. That is my area of expertise. Specific area. I've been claiming that over the years. that I am not an accountant. I do not have qualifications as an accountant, although I deal with accounting subjects. Fine. I know some accounting basics. I even prepare accounts for small companies. But I do not do those things without oversight of somebody who is a chartered or certified accountant to say, okay, Alaba, it's okay. Okay, let's adjust this. So do not misrepresent your qualifications or your credentials. It's part of integrity. Do not issue false or misleading reports. Do not conceal audit findings. Do not overlook illegal activities. Report them in line with your through the appropriate channels in line with your organizational procedures. Do not mishandle confidential information. Do not fail to disclose impairment to objectivity. Not disclosing it is going against integrity requirements. Do not make unsupported claims of conformance with the standards. I know that is in practice. Even people that did not implement the standards claim to conform with it. Yes, that is why CAEs we argue with consultants about implementation. Implementation that we already know that ideas to conform with them is already in the standard. This is what we call the consideration for implementation. Yet, as consultants, we express CAE arguing them. Finally, take responsibilities for your error or mistakes. Yes, do not refuse to take responsibility for your mistakes. Your mistake is your mistake. Be responsible for them. You cannot tell lie as internal auditors. So each of the behaviors that I mentioned undermines the credibility of the internal audit function. It erodes trust in our work because integrity means not only avoiding this action, but actively standing against them as professionals. So as you prepare for this CIA exam, don't forget to check and we'll be saying this every time. Review or study your constitution for implementation and examples of evidence to conform with the GIS. To understand how integrity is demonstrated in practice. Remember, integrity is not just about what we say, it's about what we chose to do, especially when no one is watching us. So if you do not conform, disclose that you do not conform with the standard so that you can take corrective action. Based on what I told you earlier, you must make don't make unsupported claims of conformance with the standards. It's part of your integrity. Now, let's bring the principle of integrity into focus with some real world scenarios. I'm talking about the moments where ethical courage meets professional responsibility. I will just let me look at. You can take a look at all of them later, but let me just choose one. Let me choose one. I will choose this number 2 for this session. You can look at this. Can you look at it later? Refusing to alter audit findings. This is where I want to focus on. You can read them later. A department head wants negative findings omitted to secure a promotion. The auditor stays true to the facts. Now, honesty means presenting an accurate, unbiased report based on what you found. Courage is resisting pressure to compromise your objectivity. Professionalism is adhering to the global internal audit standards. And when you look at this, all of them ensures stakeholders receive truthful insights for informed decision making. Now, let's look at this number three. Okay, just for discussion's sake, so that it won't be like I am rushing. Addressing non-compliance with regulations. An auditor discovers routine violations of environmental laws. Leadership of the organization dismisses it as industry practice. Think about such in your industry too. But integrity demands action. The first thing that we should talk about is courage. Courage is speaking up despite the leadership pushback. Legal adherence is insisting on corrective measures. And what's the result? The legal risks are reduced or mitigated, and an ethical structure will be promoted. So you can take a look at this number one. The conclusion of the whole thing here is that these scenarios show or demonstrate that integrity is not abstract. It is not abstract. Integrity is not abstract. It's actionable. Integrity is adherence to these requirements. It is the difference between silence and accountability. It is the difference between compromise and courage. If you demonstrate integrity as internal auditors, you will become a trusted advisor. You will be able to protect organizational value, and you'll be able to uphold public confidence. So, as you prepare for this CI exam, think about how you would respond in these situations. And that's because integrity is not just tested in theory, it's tested in practice. So don't expect what is integrity in the exam. Don't expect it's going to be scenarios. So we have spent um, a few minutes treating that area. Do you have any question before we move? I will not overload you too much today too. I will take it easy, like I always promise. If I feel tired or I feel people may be tired, I'll find a way to end this session and continue again another time. So that is how it should be. We should have enough time to rest, enough time to reflect all of the discussions that we have had, all of the information that I'm dishing out. Okay, next we turn to the somebody is asking a question. Ayotunde, I'm with you. You can use your microphone or you send it through chat. Let me check if there's everyone's microphone is still enabled. So you can, whichever way. We want to listen to you before we move to the next. Ayotunde, we are waiting for you. If you are speaking, I cannot hear you. Somebody should try to speak with me. Are you hearing the person? Because I think there was an issue where somebody cannot. You are speaking, but we can't hear you. We can't hear you. Another person should try to speak.
I can hear you, but I can't hear him.
Yes. So if I can't hear you and others cannot hear you, can you do a voice note on WhatsApp? I've picked my phone. Go to WhatsApp, do a voice note straight on. Let's listen to it so that we use it to. I can also use it to relax before moving to the next. We still have a long way to go. Please go to WhatsApp and do a voice note to me directly. I know if you can go to WhatsApp and do a recording, unmute yourself. We have enabled your microphone. Nobody's microphone is disabled now. You have to go to your microphone and enable it. I mean, everyone's microphone is active. You just need to unmute it. Or you go to WhatsApp, do a voice note to me. I will play it. I will listen to it from here. Then we discuss your question. Can you hear us? If you can, just send us a response. Let's know which one you want to do, or you send a chat to tell us what you want to do, so that we can move on. No response. No, not so. If one person can unmute, okay. If one person can mute, if only others can unmute themselves, that is the same setting. It's the same setting for every one of us. I'll let every other person try to use their microphone. Oluwatomi, you have used your microphone. Let every other person try to use their microphone. It's the same setting every time. We only disable microphone at the point of entry to the class so that you won't distract us. Should in case you find yourself in an environment where people will hear the discussion or noise, but once we have enabled it, you can unmute yourself and speak. I want to hear another person trying to speak apart from Ayotunde Akunde. Who can test his or microphone now? Nandifa from South Africa, are you there? Mr.
Hello,
Abdulman,
can you?
I can hear you, Oluwakemi Adebajo. Yes, clearly.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, who is trying again? Nandifa, Mr. Atunda, Mr. Abdul Malik, Sani. I know you have sent your message. I've seen your message. My phone is with me. I just want to do this troubleshooting before moving to your question.
I can also
No,
hear you clearly.
you can hear me clearly. Thank you very much. So let's listen to this voice note.
So my question, and I saw something that if internal auditors find behavior in the organization that does not align with its ethical standards, that they can probably interfere or make the report known to the normal procedures. So in a situation whereby a staff and probably a senior staff and a junior staff were having confrontations, and I realized that the senior staff was raising his voice and was saying all sort of things. Are you saying that as an internal auditor we can interfere into that and try to make peace with, or we should just note the whole issue and then make appropriate decisions on it? So I just want clarity. I want to be sure whether it is to interfere or we should just note it down, or we should cite it that this was actually what happened. Then we should go ahead and probably report the case to the management or something. Thank you.
I hope we can hear the voice note that I played. Did you hear the voice note that I played before I respond to the voice note? I need one person to signify that you heard it. Hello?
I didn't really hear it properly.
Okay, now this is the question. Thank you very much, Nandifa. Okay, somebody said I should play it again. I will play it again.
So my question, the organization that does not align with its ethical standards, that they can probably interfere or make the report known to the normal procedures. So in a situation whereby a staff and probably a senior staff and a junior staff were having like confrontations, and I realized that the senior staff was raising his voice and was saying all sort of things. Are you saying that as an internal auditor we can interfere into that and try to make peace with, or we should just note the whole issue and then make appropriate decisions on it? So I just want clarity. I want to be sure whether it is to interfere or we should just note it down, or we should cite that this was actually what happened there. We should go ahead and probably report the case to the management or something. Thank you.
Okay, what about now? Did you hear the voice notes complete? Completely, I mean. Hello? Did you hear the voice note now? Okay, now. The scenario is that as an internal auditor, let's say you are passing by and you saw a senior or a leader in the organization and a junior having altercations, and they were, let's say shouting at the loudest of their voices. As an internal auditor, what do you think? That the question is, should we interfere, engage, or we should just note it, then report it later? Now, there are two things here that you must consider. You cannot just walk away as human being, as a professional. You have professional obligation to promote ethical discipline in the organization. So internal auditors, you can actually engage the two parties, try to calm nerves, trying to let them know that this is not expected, and it is not good for the environment, and help them to realize that the matter can be resolved in a better way than the confrontation that they have chosen. Now, that is not part of an audit. That's part of promoting ethical culture in an organization. So, uh, except that your organization requires that if you found something like that, you should report it. You know, you are not expected to report such. You are only expected to help them to make peace and ensure that they stick to, because for you to have intervened, you must have realized that it's not that scenario is a misalignment with the values, corporate values, or ethical precept of the organization. So it is a normal thing to interfere, um, help make peace, let them understand educate them better, that is not expected, um, and they can resolve the matter in another way. That's a normal thing to do. You don't overlook it, but you don't have to go and report it if it is not required. It's not an audit. So we are not unless there's a requirement that says if you see something, report something. If you see violation of um, cultural discipline or ethical discipline of the organization, you should report it or officially. Then you can use the official channel to report such scenario. But if there's none like that, please, you just need to help them to make peace. Another thing you have to realize is that you can note this in your internal audit diary, because when you begin to see more of this in practice within the environment, that tells you about how people are taking the ethical requirements of how people are. That demonstrates the way people oppose the ethical requirements of the organization. So when you begin to see it, so you don't just throw it away. For me, it's not part of an audit, but it's something that internal auditors should hold a diary on that kind of ethical standings or cultural requirements, where you can look at it over time and see this happened, this another time this happened. Our people may not be following the ethical obligation of the organization as it should be, and that could initiate an audit into culture. Yeah, that could initiate a cultural audit. Yes, based on what you have been observing. So if you don't keep it or record it in your own record, you may forget it, and it could be an organizational issue over time. So, but when you see it happen once, twice, thrice, you may feel obligated to go for cultural audits to see what is actually happening so that you can help the leaders make a better decision about culture. Thank you very much. I hope that I know you have responded. I hope that is okay for every one of us. I know you have responded, Ayotunde, but I want to be sure that others agree with me. And if you disagree with me, you can let us engage one another. Okay, thank you for your responses. I got that. Now, let us turn to the second principle in domain 2, which is maintaining objectivity. Objectivity is the internal auditor's ability to remain impartial, unbiased, and free from conflict of interest while performing or when performing audit work and making decisions on the audit work. Objectivity is what allows our internal audit findings to be trusted and our recommendations to be respected. One of our key responsibilities is to assess whether an individual auditor has any impairments to objectivity. These impairments to, okay, we are seeing in slide 13. Somebody is asking question. We're in slide 13. I'm talking about the overview. I'm just sharing a general overview about where we are going to. Yeah, I'm just sharing a general overview. Thank you. So I said one of our responsibility is to assess whether an individual internal auditor has any impairment to his or her objectivity. I also said, okay, I have not gotten to that before I responded to that question. So now, the impairment to objectivity can be subtle, but those, although they may be subtle, impairment, such subtle impairment have a significant impact on the credibility of our work. There are two common types of bias to watch for in this section. The first one is self-review bias. And this one occurs when you when you evaluate or audit the work you are responsible for before. I mean, it occurs when an auditor is asked to audit the work they are or he or she was responsible for or involved in auditing yourself, to make it simple. So what you must note is that it is difficult to be impartial when you are reviewing your own decisions or your own processes. That is the reason why even when internal auditors perform internal assessment as it relates to quality assurance and improvement program, we still need external assessor. Now, because the internal is self-review, is self-assessment. Now, the second area you need to watch out for is familiarity bias. And familiarity bias arises when you have a close relationship with someone in the area you are auditing. Whether it's a long-standing friendship or relationship, power working relationship, or even just frequent interaction, that familiarity can cloud your professional judgment. So, recognizing these biases is essential, not just for ethical compliance, but for 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 maintaining the integrity of the audit function. If an impairment exists, it must be disclosed and addressed appropriately. Two things must suffice. If it exists, disclose it and address it. So, as we move deeper into this principle, we will explore how objectivity is safeguarded, how impairments are disclosed, and how the CIA exam tests your ability to identify and respond to these impairment challenges. Let's now turn our attention to objectivity specifically, which is the second principle in domain 2. According to the GIS glossary, objectivity is an unbiased mental attitude that allows internal auditors to make professional judgments, fulfill their responsibilities, and achieve the purpose of internal auditing without compromise. This principle is essential because our credibility depends on it. If stakeholders sense bias or undue influence, the value of our work diminishes instantly. So, to truly grasp or understand objectivity, I want you to consider these four key dimensions. One, unbiased mental attitude. Listen now. It means we must approach every engagement free from personal bias, relationships, or conflict of interest. And that means avoiding situations where personal gain or external pressure could cloud our professional judgment. Objectivity is just a mindset. It's not just a mindset. Objectivity is a discipline. The second one is professional judgment rooted in evidence. It means our decisions must be grounded in facts, not assumptions, opinions, or politics. If you know me very well, I always say I am a progressive. People plus politics plus profession, and the reason why I chose politics before profession is because I've been a politician before I became a professional. I've been a practicing politician before I became a professional. So, people first, plus politics of helping people to grow, of development, then being a professional, then that makes me a progressive. That's the reason why I said I call myself a progressive. No, that's my theory about progressive. But my instinct about politics does not affect my internal auditing because of I know internal auditing is evidence based. Politics may not be evidence based. May be about circumstances and making decisions based on the circumstances or environmental considerations or people considerations. That is it. So I said our decisions must be grounded in facts. They should not be based on assumptions. Your opinion is not required. Your opinion is required only when it is based on evidence. It should not be based on politics. So we validate data rigorously and apply all these standards consistently. And this is how we ensure our findings are defensible. This is how we ensure our findings are impactful. And the next one, which is independence in structure and mindset. Even though we are part of the organization, Remember, we did independence. Even though we are members of the organization, we must maintain functional independence. And this is by reporting directly to the board or audit committees. We have done that before. But independence is not just structural, it is also mental. We must resist influence from management or stakeholders that could compromise our impartiality or objectivity. And lastly, alignment with purpose of internal auditing. Objectivity helps us fulfill our mission, our purpose, which is to enhance and protect organization value. It's our audit that enhances and protects organizational value. And this ensures our audit address real risk. Our audit strengthen controls. Our audit foster or support strategic goals. So, as you prepare for this CIA exam and as you grow in your role as an internal auditor, remember, objectivity is what allows us to speak truth to power. Yes, speak truth to power. Objectivity allows us to speak truth to power. Objectivity is what will transform your work from routine to respected risk-based assurance and advisory and insight and foresight. Now, let's move on. Let's move into the, let's explore the principle two, which is maintain objectivity, another cornerstone of ethical auditing. The global internal audit standards define this principle as the need for internal auditors to maintain an impartial and unbiased attitude when performing audit services and making decisions related to internal auditing. In other words, our work must be free from favoritism, influence, or personal interest. So, to do this, we must uphold what we call professional objectivity. And professional objectivity means applying a balanced mindset and making judgments based on all relevant facts, not assumptions or preferences. This is about seeing the full picture, not just the parts that confirm our expectations. The full picture of the condition. But here is this challenge. Bias can creep in quietly without you knowing. And that's why internal auditors must be aware of and actively manage potential biases. Let's look at these three common biases, which I have laid a foundation earlier in our overview. The first one is self-review. I've explained that when you are asked to audit work you are previously involved in, how can you critique your own work? How can you, it's hard to critique your own decisions objectively. You are the one that made decisions over those transactions or operations. How do you critique your own work uh, objectively? And that means you may overlook errors or weakness based on your own decision. Now, the other one is familiarity. which I also laid a foundation about earlier. Whenever you work closely with a team or individual, in most cases, you may unconsciously give them the benefit of the doubt. That familiarity alone can dull your professional skepticism. And the last one is prejudice or unconscious bias. Prejudice or unconscious bias. And this one is more subtle, but just as dangerous as any other bias. Prejudice or unconscious bias um, um, involves misjudging information based on a preconceived ideas about, let's say, culture, ethnicity, ideology, religion, or any other characteristics. So these biases can distort our conclusions and damage our own credibility. So the best thing is to recognize these biases in the first step. How is the recognizing these biases is the first step. Managing them is the next, and that's why the CIA exam and the profession itself requires us to be vigilant, to be reflective, and be committed to fairness. As I always say, I encourage you to read your TIS constitution for implementation on this. And finally, objectivity is not just a principle, it is a discipline. And objectivity is what makes our voice as internal auditors both credible and powerful. Okay. We will stop this session at 11:45 Nigerian time. So I have about 5 minutes to deliver this, so that we can go for 15 minutes break and return. So 15 minutes break, we return after this. Now, let's continue with the principle 2 on maintain objectivity. And we want to dive into the specific requirement that help internal auditors protect their impartiality. First, internal auditors must recognize and either avoid or mitigate actual, potential, and perceived impairments to objectivity. And this includes anything that could reasonably be seen as compromising our independence. Even if it hasn't yet influenced our judgment, it can be perceived. One clear example is gifts or favors, whether tangible or intangible. Anything that could impair or even be presumed to impair our objectivity must be declined. The perception of bias can be just as damaging as the reality. Perception. So don't say this is not true. It has not happened. No. Perception also matters. The next one, we must avoid conflict of interest. And that means not allowing our own interests or the interests of others, including our senior management or political pressures or any other person, to influence our own work. Our loyalty is to the truth, not to personalities or power structures. You know, our loyalty should always remain to the truth. Now, let's talk about her responsibilities. Her responsibilities. You must not assess activities that you were previously responsible for. For example, you were previously the head of internal control or internal control manager, or you are responsible for inventory, or any other operational matters, if you have had direct responsibility for a function, for a process, for a transaction, for an operation, within the past 12 months, your objectivity is presumed impaired. Yeah, that's a hard line, I know, and for a good reason. Yeah, when the internal audit function shifts from advisory to assurance services, the CAE must confirm that objectivity remains intact. CAEs must assign resources carefully and they must ensure that assurance engagements over their own areas of responsibilities are overseen by an independent party outside audit function. This is not new to you. We did it in section 1. And if an auditor is asked to provide advisory services for an area they previously managed, they must also disclose potential impairment before accepting the engagement from the stakeholders. The key here is transparency, that you provided an advice on that matter before. Now, you want to okay, that you have managed. Now let me do this again. That you have managed a process or an operation before. Now you want to provide advice on it. You have to disclose potential impairment, before accepting such engagement. Finally, the CAE must establish methodologies. Don't forget methodologies, policies, processes, and procedures to identify and address impairment. You are expected to discuss any concerns and take appropriate action based on the methodologies established by the CAE. So again, this principle is not just about avoiding biases. It's about actively building trust. It is about actively building trust. Objectivity is what allows our findings to be respected, our recommendations to be implemented, and finally, our profession to be valued. Thank you very much. Let us go for a 15 minutes break. I will stop this recording. So let me look at my time. 15 minutes. So